On May 1st, 1868, in Statesville, North Carolina, a 22-year-old man was executed for the murder of his girlfriend and lover.
Hey, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. You killed poor Laurie Foster, and you know you're bound to die.
So, what is it about this love story that makes it, still after 160 years, the topic of song and legend? The story of Tom Dula, pronounced Dooley, is a love story which has been told in the mountains of western North Carolina and eastern Tennessee for almost 160 years. It's a true story that has been told in the mountains, at social gatherings, around campfires, and even made into songs. In 1959, the music group, the Kingston Trio, turned the song into a national hit. Why not? It has all the elements of a great story: love, sex, betrayal, and murder.
Throughout history, there have been many songs written about the eternal triangle. This next one tells the story of a Mr. Grayson, a beautiful woman, and a condemned man named Tom Dooley.
What is Tom Dula's story? And what makes this love triangle so captivating? As with many folk stories, this one is difficult to separate fact from fiction. Each generation and each storyteller adds his own twist. Essentially, the story boils down to a lover's triangle, but not the type of triangle we usually think of. This did not involve two men and a woman, but two women and a man, with a third woman thrown in to add spice. Not that this story actually needs any more spice. It is a tale of wanton promiscuity, adultery, venereal disease, intimidation, and ultimately murder. Tom Dula, pronounced Dooley, in the hills of western North Carolina, was born in 1844 in Wilkes County, North Carolina. He came from a poor family and was raised on a farm with his two older brothers and a younger sister. He spent his childhood working on the family farm and attending school. As Tom approached his teenage years, he found a new interest: sex. Tom's love interest was a neighbor girl, Ann Foster. She was about a year to a year and a half older than he was. One of the stories in this drama is that Ann's mother found her and Tom in bed together. Ann was 14 at the time, and Tom around 12 or 13. Ann, who according to folklore was attractive, lazy, vengeful, and cruel. Around 1859, Ann married James Melton, a local farmer and cobbler. He was 4 to 5 years older than Ann. Marriage, however, did not stop the relationship between Ann and Tom. With Melton's consent, Tom moved into the Melton cabin and shared a bed with Ann. It seems that Melton did not have much interest in his wife. This arrangement continued until 1862, when Tom joined the Confederate Army. He served in the 42nd North Carolina, where he may have been a musician. Some accounts claim he could play the drums or the banjo or the fiddle. He may have played them all. Sometime in 1864, he was captured. He was released the following year at the end of the war. He returned home and continued his relationship with Anne. He also began an affair with two other women. Both happened to be cousins of Anne, Pauline Foster and Laura Foster. He seemed to have a thing for Foster women. Pauline, who played a key role in this three-way drama, had moved to Wilkes County for medical treatment. To pay her medical expenses and have a place to live, she took a job as a servant in the Melton house. She worked in the house to help Anne, but it seems Anne spent most of her time in bed. Pauline also helped James in the field. So, in the Melton cabin, Tom is sleeping with both Anne and Pauline. No one, Anne, Pauline, or James, objected to this arrangement. What was not known until later was that Pauline was receiving medical treatment for syphilis. Tom contracted syphilis from Pauline, which he passed on to Anne and Laura. Tom thought that Laura had given him the disease. At the trial, witnesses stated Tom said he would do in the one who had given him the pox. On May 25th, 1866, Laura Foster packed her clothes, took her father's horse, and left home. To a passerby, Laura stated she and Tom were eloping to Tennessee. Laura was never seen alive again. The horse was found a few days later with a broken rope on its halter, but no sign of Laura. A search party was organized, and after several weeks, the only clue found was the other end of the broken rope tied to the horse's halter. It was tied to a tree near Tom's house. Tom was suspect of being responsible in Laura's disappearance. He took off for Tennessee. About the same time, Pauline had also gone to Tennessee. When she returned, a friend jokingly asked if she had killed Laura. Pauline replied, also jokingly, that she and Tom had killed Laura together. Pauline was soon arrested and charged as an accessory to Laura Foster's murder. Pauline, now fearing for her life, told the authorities everything she knew. She confessed that Anne Melton had told her that she and Tom had killed Laura together, and then took Pauline to the gravesite to ensure it had not been disturbed. Pauline led the authorities to Laura's shallow grave along the hillside not far from Tom's house. The body, of course, was badly decomposed, but could be identified by her clothing. There was evidence of a stab wound under the left breast. Tom had been working on the farm of Colonel Grayson in Tennessee under the name of Tom Hall. After earning enough money to purchase a pair of boots, he left. Colonel Grayson, upon learning that Tom Hall was Tom Dula and wanted for murder, organized a posse. The posse soon found and transferred Tom back to Wilkes County to stand trial. Grayson is mentioned in the song written by the Kingston Trio about Tom Dooley. From that came the myth that Grayson had been Tom's rival for the love of Laura Foster.
This next one tells the story of a Mr. Grayson, a beautiful woman, and a condemned man named Tom Dooley.
But Grayson had no prior connection with either Tom or Laura. His only part in the story is briefly employing Tom and then helping apprehend him for trial. The trial became a national sensation when the press learned the complicated details of Dula's sex life. The trial gained more notoriety when Zebulon Vance, the former Confederate governor of North Carolina, volunteered to represent Dula pro bono. Governor Vance was able to have Tom and Ann Melton tried separately and moved the trial to Statesville in Ardell County, North Carolina. Everyone in Wilkes County had a preconceived idea of Tom and Ann's guilt, and Vance did not believe Tom could get a fair trial in Wilkes County. In spite of the efforts of one of the best lawyers in the state, Tom was found guilty of Laura's murder. Vance was successful, however, in appealing the case to the North Carolina Supreme Court. The Supreme Court did order a new trial, but Tom was still found guilty.
Met her on the mountain, stabbed her with my knife.
Ann Melton was acquitted based on Tom's testimony. In 1874, Ann died. It's not clear if her death was a result of a wagon accident or from syphilis. As with much of the story of the Dooley-Foster-Melton triangle, Ann's death is not without controversy. Folklore claims that on her deathbed, Ann confessed to murdering Laura in a fit of jealousy, and she begged Tom to help her hide the body. Folklore also says that upon her death, Ann claimed to see black cats on the wall of her room, saw fire at the foot of her bed, and could hear bacon frying. On May 1st, 1868, Tom was hung, not on a cottonwood tree, as the song says, but from the gallows in Statesville. About 3,000 people attended the hanging. Tom faced his death bravely. Standing on the gallows, he stated, "Gentlemen, I did not harm a single hair on that fair lady's head." As the rope was placed around his neck, he jokingly said, "You have such a nice clean rope, I ought to have washed my neck." Even before Tom's execution, a ballad about him and Laura Foster was being sung in the surrounding counties.
Your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. You killed poor Laurie Foster and you know you're bound to die.
The Kingston Trio had taken the song without acknowledgement from a singer and folklorist, Frank Warner, who had learned it from another preserver of mountain culture, Frank Prophet. Thank you for watching this video. I truly appreciate it. I have been familiar with the song Tom Dooley since my days in high school and college, but until I began researching for this video, I did not realize how complicated, confusing, and salacious that the actual story was. You, the listener, decide who killed Laura. If you like this video, please take the time to like, comment, and if you haven't, subscribe. Thank you so very much.
Dooley, poor boy, you're bound to die.